crispy pan-fried salmon with lemon and zucchini fettuccine, a vibrant green sauce and some rigatoni, and chicken with artichokes and olives. These 3 weeknight dishes are super quick to pull together. Let's get stuck in. All right, this is a pretty quick one to pull together and everything kind of cooks at once. So we're gonna start by getting our salmon into the pan because that's gonna take a while before we assemble the whole dish in the pan after. So I've got a medium-sized saucepan, good amount of olive oil in there. Season your skin side of your salmon. And then, this doesn't need to be ripping hot, but you want some heat in it, especially because this is a stainless steel pan and that'll avoid it sticking. Away from you, salmon goes in. Just a light press if it starts to bubble up, and we'll let that do its thing. You want it on like a medium-high heat, because you want time for the skin to nice and crisp up, and it to kind of slowly start cooking the flesh through from the bottom. So while our salmon's cooking, should turn that down a bit, it's getting a little bit hot. We're gonna cut our zucchini. Nothing too crazy, cut it down the center, and then we're just gonna cut it into little kind of half moon shaped pieces. I think that you want them about that size. They can kind of saute nicely without overcooking. Now time for the pasta. So this is some dried fettuccine. It's an egg-based pasta. It's gonna cook in about 6 minutes in boiling water. So now that we've got some good color on this salmon, it's probably only about 6 minutes away. So it's a good time to start cooking the pasta. So we've got a big pot of boiling water. Careful, steam burns hurt. Gonna season it relatively generously with salt. In the pasta goes, and let that do its thing. We'll check it after 5 minutes. So our salmon's cooking, our pasta's cooking, and there's not much more we can really do right now. We've got our baby spinach ready, we've got a lemon ready. We're gonna use a lot of the zest in this, which gets like a lot of that real nice lemon oil and fragrance to it. Basically, once our salmon's finished cooking, we're gonna remove it from the pan. We'll saute our veg, add our pasta to it, season it really well with the lemon juice, lemon zest, and salt, and then we'll plate our pasta and our salmon on top. So at this point, you can see the color of the flesh on the side of the salmon is kind of almost reaching the middle of the fillet. That's when you're gonna start thinking about flipping it if you want kind of medium rare salmon, medium salmon, which I like to have. If you want your salmon fully cooked, then you want this kind of line of protein to go up even further. But basically, all we're gonna do is start sealing the other sides now. So really carefully, up on a side, seal that outside. You want to leave it there for about 20 seconds before you turn it onto the next side. 20 seconds onto the other side. And then for the last minute, we're going to put it onto the flesh side. The other thing you can do is if you really want your salmon well done, which a lot of people enjoy having, is get a little oven tray, put the salmon on the oven tray and pop it through the oven for a bit. All right, at this point, I'm happy with how that salmon's cooked. I'm going to pull it out. We'll leave that to a side. The pan's still on, so now we're going to add in our sliced zucchini. Carefully, this oil is very hot. You shouldn't need to add heaps of salt here. A lot of the salt from the salmon would have come off. So turn that up to high and just saute those zucchinis now. I haven't added any more oil because a lot of the oil from the salmon's come out and it's going to really fragrance those zucchinis. Let's check the pasta. All right, this is ready to come out. Scoop our pasta out. We don't need to be too particular about how much water is coming with it, because a bit of that starchy water helps to bring the pasta together. There's our pasta. So we're getting some nice color on our zucchinis. Kind of want a little bit more, to be honest, but we'll start seasoning them. So lots of black pepper, lemon zest, and then we'll add the juice once the pasta's back in the pan. You can see these zucchinis are getting nice color on them now. They're still hot in their shape. That's exactly what we want. In with our baby spinach and our pasta. Ooh. Big squeeze of lemon. All right, ready to serve. Bowl down. Piece of salmon on the top. Finish it with a little bit more olive oil. And there we go. Your pasta for 2 people with a really nice protein in like 12 minutes realistically. Delicious. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so the next one, we got a rigatoni with some silver beet or chard, a few different names. We're gonna make a really nice green sauce out of the leaves, and then we're gonna dice up the stems and we're gonna saute them down to go in with the pasta. So first things first is we need to get that ready. It's pretty simple. Take the leaves, run your knife down them, and we'll keep that part separate from this part. So we're going to save these, then with the white parts, we're just going to dice them up. This stuff's pretty fibrous, so it takes a little bit of cooking, and it also helps if you dice them relatively small. So that's about 2 cups worth. I think that's what you're going to need for this amount of pasta, so for 2 people. With these stuff, wrap them up in a paper towel, damp paper towel, chuck them in the fridge, and then put them in the next stir fry or something that you're going to have. All right, to cook the whites of our silver beet, pan on a medium-high heat, decent amount of olive oil. Got some garlic here, 4 cloves. This doesn't need to be super fine. Just give it a crush and then run your knife through it. Then before that pan gets too hot, in with the garlic. You just want to open those flavors up and really perfume that oil. You not really want to kind of brown the garlic. To that, you're going to add as much or as little chili flakes as you want. And same thing, you're just kind of infusing that chili into that oil. Time for the silver beet. Season it with salt. And we're just going to saute that down. It's going to take about 10 to 12 minutes. While that's sauteing down, we're going to cook our pasta and we're going to blanch our greens. Then we'll blend it with some Parmesan to make a really lovely green sauce. All right, so salted boiling water, just like all pasta. In there for as long as it kind of says on the packet, usually about 8 to 10 minutes. All right, we've got another pot of water, good season of salt. To be perfectly honest, this pot's way too big for the job, but that's boiling, and our greens go. We're just gonna blanch these for about 3 minutes. It's really important that the water's boiling. So what that does is it keeps that sauce nice and green. All right, this has been cooking for 3 minutes and it's nice and tender. Drain it off, but try and save some of that water because we might need it to thin out the sauce. So I've pulled the wilted silver beet from the colander into a container that we're going to blend it in. It's going to grate in some Parmesan and then we're going to blend it up. Going to add a good drizzle of olive oil in there too. All right, at this point our pasta is very close to being ready. Our silver beet whites are cooked. I'll be perfectly honest, these probably caught a little bit more than I would have wanted them to, but that's all right. In goes our sauce, low heat. And we just get those all nicely together before we add our pasta to the equation. And then we're pretty much ready to serve. Great time now just to test the sauce. Needs a bit of salt, but it's pretty good. Got a little bit of kick. And the same, don't be too stressed about having too much water on there because it'll help to loosen that sauce up a bit as well. And I think we might actually need a little bit extra anyway. Into our sauce. Then we have the fun of trying to mix in a pasta in a pot that's a bit too small. I'm gonna add a bit more pasta water into that just to loosen that sauce up a bit. Really important to make sure that pasta is completely covered with that sauce. I think it really kind of adds to it as well. Time to plate up. Now, feel free to add a little bit more Parmesan to that if you want, but honestly, after tasting it, I think it's good as it is. I love this pasta. Look at the vibrancy. How green is that? On to the next one. All right, and finally, bit of an easier one. Chicken, and then this here, it's all from a jar. There's nothing wrong with this stuff. It's all delicious. Get good quality stuff. I've got some Kalamata olives, some artichokes, and some roast red peppers. Now the red peppers are the easiest ones. You can roast these yourself, but they're really good quality ones in jars. So This is a super easy one to pull together. I've got some diced chicken thigh and then some pasta. So first of all, let's get this chicken cooking. Into a pan, decent amount of olive oil, a little bit of heat in the pan, add the chicken, season it with some salt. All right, while our chicken's cooking, let's get the pasta going. So, same as always, boiling salted water, 8 to 10 minutes. So while the pasta's cooking, we're just gonna continue to brown our chicken, and now we're gonna get our veg ready. Now this couldn't be simpler. These little suckers, you can cut them in half, like that, but I'm just gonna leave them whole. They kind of break up a little bit anyway, and some of the petals will come off. The only thing that really needs some attention is these roast peppers. So just run your knife through it so you get nice strips. Couldn't be easier. Now this chicken's almost completely cooked, and this step's kind of pretty optional. If you're not a drinker or you don't want to cook with alcohol, just leave it out or do it with a little bit of water. But there's lots of really nice chicken fond on the bottom of that pan. So I'm just going to give it a little splash of white wine, just to get all that flavour off the bottom. The only other thing you need to get ready is some basil. I like to keep it pretty chunky. Just make sure you pick it pretty fresh. I also like heaps of basil in mine. These leaves are getting a bit big, just tear them in half. All right, so at this point our chicken is cooked through. You could eat that fine as it is. We're gonna add all our other veg into it. A bit of sauce. Before we finally add our pasta, which is almost done. Basil last minute, we're good to go. All right, our pasta's ready. Pull it out. Don't worry about the water too much. Into the pot. Toss through. Oh, I've really done a number this time. Make this easier for myself, eh? I'm gonna add another little drizzle of olive oil. Get our basil in there. Like always, if it's starting to look like it's really dry, add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of your pasta water. This isn't like a really saucy pasta though. It's you know, pretty light. It's kind of, no, it reminds me of summer for some reason, this pasta. Time to plate up. Finish it with a little bit of fresh parm. Another drizzle of olive oil, why not? There you have it. It's incredible how much flavor you can pull out of a few simple ingredients you got in your pantry. So there you have it, 3 weeknight pastas that'll take less than half an hour to pull together easily. Feel free to use whatever pasta you want. If you're celiac, use gluten-free. And if you're after any other midweek ideas, then check out this video where I run through 3 chicken ideas in under 20 minutes, I think it is. Like this video if you took anything from it, subscribe if you're not, and we'll see you next week for another recipe.